So go and wash, as Jesus said, and be clean. Clean up your life, clean up your act, and let us come together as never before, and let the enemy see that we are united for 10-10-15, the 20th anniversary of the Million Man March, where the theme is justice or else. So to all my family of rappers and artists and musicians and sports figures, join me in Washington. I need your help. Ask those millions that follow you on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. Ask those who look to you. Tell them, I'm going to be with Farrakhan on 10-10-15, and I want all my followers to do the same. Let us move on to Washington and demand the justice that we rightfully deserve from those who have the power to give it or grant it. But I must say, we're not coming depending on you, because if you don't give us what we deserve, which is justice and equity, then the Lord of creation says in the Bible, the battle is not yours. He's talking to you and me. The battle is mine. Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. So when I say justice, I'm going to tell you what justice is. And when I say or else, we will tell you all about that and introduce you to the God of justice, who will demand of you and force you to give us what we demand or take it all from you. Thank you for listening, and may Allah bless you and grant you all His peace. I hope to see you all again, and I hope to see you in Washington, D.C., 10-10-15. The cry is justice or else.
Yo, welcome to Cocktails and Consciousness. That's under the influence of Cocktails and Consciousness. This is a critical thinking platform where we talk about issues important to the Black millennial and some not so important to the Black millennial. As we all know, those issues are tough, so we handle it with a cocktail. Welcome. I am your host, Caleb, and joining me, as always, is the very lovely Ivory.
Hello.
And we are just tuning in to give you another installment of Under Influence Cocktails and Consciousness. All right. So look, today's topic is the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the upcoming Justice or Else conference that will be held 10-10-2015 in Washington D.C. Now we're talking about this because we are the millennials and we are Black millennials, and this is something that should be on your radar if you at all have any type of consciousness. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has put in much work over many decades. He's been a installment in our lives as we've grown up, and now he's getting ready to do his second conference in Washington D.C. Now the first one we know was the Million Man March. Now, Ivory, what do you remember as far as the first Million Man March? Now I'm guessing you weren't there, but what do you remember? Because I know you heard about it.
No, I wasn't there. But I knew that it was happening, and I remember people around me talking about it. I think at that time I was probably like 9 years old, and Yeah, I didn't know anybody personally who went and came back and spoke about it, but I remember feeling like this air of like knowing that it had happened, and it was something that was like monumental in terms of like black people coming together for a collective cause, and it was a successful event. And then I remember like there being this like belief or this idea that after the Million Man March, things were going to start turning around for black people as a whole in America, and there was going to be more independency. So yeah, I do remember those instances. But I think I got more of my like idea or clear like idea from the movie. Get on the
I
Bus.
was just gonna say that.
Yeah, that's when I was like, okay, that I feel like I remember little things here and there when it actually happened. I mean, obviously I was young, but then when I would repeatedly watch the movie, I'm like, okay, that's what that was. And then other thing, I feel like it had its moments in other movies as well. But yeah,
Right.
that's my knowledge of it for the most part.
Yeah.
And I've learned things along the way, but
Yeah, and mine is very similar to that. Like I could just remember, there being a time of great, like, oh, this is going on in Washington. I was young, and my dad, he didn't go. He didn't go. Yeah, he had to work, so it was one of those things where I didn't share that, but I remember it happened, and I also remember Spike Lee, Get on the Bus, and that was a very interesting movie that conspired from what happened. And kind of fictional, but yeah. But the biggest thing is, I actually ran into a gentleman. I ran into him because I'm around him a lot. He's a business owner out here in Chicago, and he has his own little church also. You know what I mean? So like, he's always interesting to talk to because he's an older guy, and he has like, he's very knowledgeable. You know what I mean? So we were sitting there talking, and I was telling him about, hey, how do you feel about this thing going on in Washington? And, as far as Farrakhan, because I know he's familiar with him. And he was saying, like, Farrakhan is Farrakhan. He's going to do his thing. He has his following and such. But, I'm not really in huge support of it. And, he started to, everybody has their opinion. So he started to basically break down his opinion, how he felt about it, how, like, everybody raised $1 million in the air, and that was cool. But like, what did we come from it? And some people are, and that he's not the only person, but some people are, in a field where they're like, hey, what really happened from people going out there? Like you just said, like what really was the thing that that happened big for black people next? And he's one of those people. Mm-hmm. And so, as always, I started thinking about it and, critically thinking about it. And I'm like, I came to my own conclusions about it. So I'm like, all right. So I consider myself, conscious and, as far as the knowledge of who we are and everything, and, why things are happening the way they are. And, you tend to stay in a certain range when you think about those things, where it's like, we are the first people here. We've been wronged. This is why we're being wronged. We need to fix that, which is, a reality that is true to a certain extent. But then, like, you start to think about, like, like you say, like, what really happened? What is this really all about? It's really about race. It's really about people hating us and shit like that. Like, it's really, I tend to think more so that it's about really money. At the end of the day, it's really about money. Slavery was about money. We picked cotton so people could, we built this country into an economic power. It's about money at the end of the day. So I'm like, yo, when you really think about money, like, with this whole march going on, in Washington coming up, and it's gonna be, I think it's gonna be big. What do you think? Do you think it's gonna be a big showing?
I have a feeling that it's not going to be as big as the Million Man March because it's a week away. I don't feel a lot of like anticipation and talk around it as much as like it was for like the Million Man March or I mean, not to say, you know, I was presently there, but like you just felt like something was about to happen. Like, I don't feel that for this. I don't, now that I think about it, I don't think that it got a lot of media coverage. You know, you and I have like our top, like, individually, our top sites that we go to kind of get the scoop on like the latest in the news, and like no news sites or blogs have really promoted or posted or talked about this happening. So I don't think that it really is going to get as much traffic, especially for like, you know, the black millennial, like, you know, those black people between the ages of 18 and 35. You know, I just don't think that he really has their grasp. I think he tried to when he did those the interview circuits with like the Breakfast Club, and I saw he did one with Sway as well, and I think it was one more, but I can't remember. And like, I think that was his attempt to get the ear of a certain population, but I just don't feel that it's a lot of anticipation around it. Like, do you hear about people talking about it?
You know, that's one of the things I heard about the other day. I was listening to a video because it was, you know, it was one of those videos that went out because, you know, when somebody mentions somebody, you know, it always is always a big thing. And I guess I'm getting ready to mention somebody, so I can't really talk shit. But like Dr. Boyce Watkins, he actually did a video the other day, and he was talking about like, you know, he was getting ready to do a couple of, I don't know if he's going to do a couple lectures or some type of things that he's going to do for like, you know, his brands, but he was talking about after that was wrapped up, he was going to finish out at the Farrakhan event. And, you know, he was talking about how he was anticipating, how he was excited about it and everything. You know, and the biggest thing about it is that, you know, Dr. Boyce is a financial expert. You know, he has his PhD in, I believe, something along the lines of, you know, expert financial.
Finance,
yeah. So
finance.
it's like, Finance, yeah. So like, you know, and I listen to him, and I like a lot of things he says about black business. I mean, he's a very, you know, wise man when it comes to business dealings. But yeah, he was talking about going out to Washington. I'm like, yo, did Dr. Boyce really, like, I'm like, did he think about the you know, did he really think about the financial things that's getting ready to happen as far as you know, this whole event? Because, you know, Dr. Boyce, I found him through YouTube. I found him through, you know, his platform that's on YouTube. And he talks about basically every day different issues as far as the black community, mass incarceration, you know, relationships. You know what I mean? I think he does a little segment with his daughter. You know, he does a lot of stuff that's cool. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But I'm like, you know, when I started thinking about that, because, you know, the event coming up, like nobody, you know, some people do live in Washington. You know what I mean? But like most of the people going out there are probably going to be traveling out there. And I started thinking about like the expenses of traveling. Because I mean, you travel and you know how it goes as far as, you know, you planning and shit like that. It's expensive. So I started thinking about the whole breakdown of planning. I'm like, okay, airfare, right? You got to pay for your flight. You know, and depending on where you're coming from, and like I said, he's gonna have people coming from all different parts of the country.
It's your biggest like pet peeve, the fact that like you feel like that by traveling and doing all this, that they're putting money back into white-owned businesses and mass media pockets. Like,
definitely, because the whole thing is just or else, and until recently we didn't exactly know what just or else meant. Like I thought, you know, because you know the Farrakhan, you know, the Muslims are like, you know, they are very strong men, and they're very like stern in the shit they do. Like we know, you know how it goes. It's like just or else, and you say or else, it's like, all right, what's really getting ready to happen? You know, there's been talks about, you know, people push it out there, like there's been talks of race wars and all type of shit. So you never know what just or else meant, but you know,
well, this is what it said on the website. In terms of what they meant, basically it was alluding to the fact that when people are The longer justice is denied, the more intense will be the cry. The anger that is the breast of the people will continue, and as the pain continues to intensify, if our cry for justice is not heard soon, then these demonstrations and protests in cities across the country and the world will produce a tsunami, the results of which will bring out total chaos and destruction on all sides. So that pretty much that whole statement is saying that or else is, if we don't get justice, then violence will ensue, and you're going to have to deal with something much larger than like these protests that are happening. That's what he believes. So
yeah. Did it have anything to do also with the was it the economic?
Yeah, so he had a list of what type of justice that they were looking for. Justice for Black Americans who've given America 460 years of sweat, blood, and tears. We want immediate end to police brutality. We want justice for Native Americans. We want justice for Mexicans, Latinos, justice for women, the poor. We want justice for incarcerated. We want justice for veterans. I do not see anything about economics in here, honestly, like as I'm perusing it, which is very surprising. But maybe he has this belief that like they can't give us economic power, like we can only do that by supporting each other's businesses, buying black, building black, which is what your ultimate argument is in terms of like going to DC as a whole will produce like this economic boom for, you know, white-owned companies like airlines and hotels and restaurants. So, and then we know that like the ultimate way that you get anybody's ear is by hitting them in their pocket. So they don't care if you like are protesting or creating these movements or are angry about something, as long as you are giving them your paycheck at the end of the day. That's all that matters.
Right. And so I was out, you know, I know justice else has to tie into like, you know, definitely us in the black dollar.
It didn't say that though, but
it didn't say that, yeah.
I mean, I didn't see it, so maybe something that was not, that's implied but not stated.
Well, maybe I might be thinking about this wrong, because, you know, like I say, that came from, you know, the conversation that I was having with him, you know,
right,
as far as, you know, taking back our black dollar. So we can't find anywhere on the website, and we just looked it up on the website. We can't find anywhere where it says it, but
yeah, I don't see it.
Even inside of that, in light of that happening, you know, I feel like part of the injustice, especially in America, with black folks in the black community, is a lack of resources. You know, because we know resources get you a long way. You know, there's been many sayings, you know, basically that derive around the fact that if you don't have resources, you're gonna be in a bad spot, and if you do, you're good. So like, when I think about all the resources that are getting ready to be spent, you know, not going into like the black pocket, is like, as far as the airfare. All right, so people live everywhere, and they'll be taking planes, and they'll be trying to get there on their planes, right? And those tickets cost money. It's gonna be round trip there and back. So that flight is gonna cost money. It's gonna cost some people upwards of what? What do you think the highest ticket coming from the farthest place to Washington D.C.? What would a ticket from New York to Washington be? Or
that's
from Florida
not the farthest place. That's the closest. Like New York and DC are not that far away from each other. People drive from those two areas all the time.
Well, like Texas to DC,
or LA to DC, because they're both on two different coasts. But
yeah, LA, DC.
I would probably say the most expensive ticket would probably be around $500.
And what if you booked it today? How much would it be?
Definitely more.
Like, so some people are gonna be paying $1,000 for flying, right?
Probably.
Right. And so, you know, we think about that. So some people are gonna be flying, and so let's just assume between $500 and $1,000 for tickets, right? Now, also, what about the people who are gonna be driving down there? I mean, 'cause some people gassing up. You probably gonna gas up a truck. Some people probably gonna, you know, if you're gonna rent something, you probably gonna rent a truck. So you're spending like probably $300, $400, $500 on gas probably more. You know what I mean? We trying to be modest here. So we talk about that. And then we talk about, I know they're gonna be down there. Like I know, people are fast. Probably some people probably gonna be doing some fasting, or they're gonna be doing some type of, I don't know, like, what I mean? People gonna be passing around some pies, all type of shit like that. But like people are gonna eat for the most part, like at the restaurants down there. And I feel like, I know DC is like Chocolate City, and there probably are a lot of black-owned businesses and stuff like that. But you can't. I know that for the extent of people stay, people aren't just gonna be eating black-owned. Some of that money is gonna trickle down into the reason why we there. The big reason, quote unquote. You know what I mean? We talk about that. Then we talk about like lodging. Like, are people gonna be pitching tents and shit out there? Like, have you heard anything about that?
No, I think that, I'm sure they're going to be, while you do have a point that like people are going to be spending money unnecessarily to businesses that don't support Black life. I think that, I will hope, and I have a feeling that there are, I'm sure, groups of people that are going to be intentionally not just like, spewing out dollars to like, these businesses that they are aware are not supportive of Black people. I think, there are ways you can take precautious steps to make sure that you don't, like road tripping, staying with people who, live in DC. Bring your own food. Back in the day when Black people couldn't even eat in restaurants and they were traveling from one state to the next, they would pack their food in their car and eat in their car. And like, so I think that like, there are some wise men and women out there that will make those conscious decisions. I don't think it's going to be across the board like, let's give our money away. But I do get the gist of what you're saying.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Do you think about like, okay, some people are gonna be doing that, but I believe for the most part it's gonna be Hilton, Marriott, the Holiday Inn. You know what I mean? Some people gonna probably go to Motel 6, maybe. You know what I mean? Some Super 6. You extended stay, they might do some things like that. But for the most part, like I feel like most of that money, as far as lodging and where people gonna lay their head at night, is gonna go back into some other pockets. You know what I mean? So we just cover like fuel, food, and lodging. Like, I feel like, some people might go down there. Some Black entrepreneurs might be able to go down there and make a decent cash out. They might be able to have some merchandise, some t-shirts, some clothes, some oils, some maybe some home cooked shit, all type of stuff. Mm-hmm. And that's cool. But like for the most part, like I believe that the abundance of the resources that are going down there are going to be spent elsewhere. And I believe that with everything that we see, like everything that's mentioned on the site also, as far as what we need to be fighting, like poverty and, stuff like that, like that's like a shelter, like people going hungry, like that's resources that we could be using to do that right there. Because I know when the first Million Man March came around back in the day, the internet probably wasn't that strong. You didn't have a lot of the platforms that you have today to reach, the masses of people. But like, you can literally now, like you can stream something. And it probably also will stream, but like you could literally only stream. He could be at his crib in Hyde Park and literally like be sitting there and like doing a show. Like it's like you can literally talk to the mass of people, and people who would go down there, people who would think about this. To spend that money, you must really believe in something. You know what I'm saying? People do vacations because they really need to get away. You know what I'm saying? They spend exorbitant amounts on vacation because they need to get away. People would spend that amount of money to go listen to that information because they really need it. So I believe that they would do the same thing if he decided, hey, I'm only going to stream this, but it's going to be pay-per-view. So I could literally, charge the admission to it an exorbitant amount because it'll still be less than you would spend on your travel expenses.
Pay-per-view is a white-owned company, so you give money to them too.
Pay-per-view. But no, think about this. You could do a YouTube stream. They got YouTube stream now, like live.
White-owned.
It is white owned, but damn.
But the bottom line is you cannot avoid it. Like, you as much as you try. Like, the argument to say, like, I get what you're saying. Like, it is a lot of money, but the argument that you should refrain from doing something so that you won't put money into white owned pockets, business pockets, is equivalent to saying, like, the shoes that you wear, the drawers you got on, the shirt that you have, like, you shouldn't be donning that either. And maybe that is true, but that cancels out everybody. Like, so yes, we should absolutely be working towards, buying black 100% of the time and letting the money rotate within our communities. But in my opinion, that takes like a lot of like mental work that it goes beyond choosing to opt out of going to justice or else.
I feel you, man. I feel you. I just think those resources, man, would definitely be well spent elsewhere, and he could do it. And I think, like, because what he's ultimately going to do, I feel like he's going to go down there. He's also going to mention that, we don't need to participate in Black Friday, and we don't need to participate in Christmas, which I agree. I agree that we don't need to participate in anything that like literally, oh, it's a season for you to spend some money. Like, that just sounds crazy. It's time for you to spend some money now. Any holiday that says, hey, you need to go out there and do this in this way and buy this is some bullshit. We know that. It's all, capitalism. But like, I know he's gonna say, hey, I know he's gonna say that. So like, he could literally roll that off. Like Jerry Lewis, I think his name was Jerry Lewis, Jerry Lee Lewis or some shit like that. He would always have these telethons, and he would make a lot of money, and he would just literally like do 24 hours or something like that, maybe longer, I don't know. But like, he would do it all day, and people would basically call in and donate, and he would just sing songs and do his thing, everything like that. Literally, Farrakhan could literally
do what this white guy did.
Yes.
So you defeating your whole defeating the purpose of your whole argument, because you are telling like people not to put money into a white audience, but instead emulate something that a white man has done to make money. Like,
what? Business is business.
So if
business is business,
then why does it matter?
Because think about this. I'm thinking about cutting out the middleman. The middleman in this right now, from people to justice or else, is all this other stuff that has to happen in between that you got to spend money on. You eliminate the middleman with people in front of their screen. They eat their own food. They can sleep in their own crib. They use their own damn electricity. They using their own stuff. But they can literally call in and donate money on the spot. And the money need to get right to you, because look, think about this. He's probably, let's say he did. Now the gentleman I talked to before, he told me that he did the everybody put $1 in the air, and he collected that money and did something. Like, literally, people could put damn near $100 in the air. If that's the case, over the line, over Ustream, over any type of streaming platform you want to use, people could literally put $300-$400 in the air at that point. And think about the cake up that the black community could do then, and cutting out the middleman. I just think about that, like, yo, they could literally, people could put $500 in the air, because that's what they were gonna spend anyway. So if you get $500 from 1 million, let's just say on some crazy. Let's say we got $500 from 1 million people. What? That changes the game completely in one day. And then we say, okay, look, I'm gonna do the same thing coming up for Black Friday. I want y'all to tune in, and we're gonna do the same thing for Black Friday, because y'all gonna spend that money anyway. Everybody not gonna be down with it, but anybody who was gonna be down with it is gonna be down with it. Plus the people who wasn't gonna be able to spend the money to go down there are gonna be down with it. What do you think, though? You don't think that's like at all like okay?
I think what you're saying is, makes sense on paper, but I think that realistically we gotta start taking our own individual ownership and accountability, and So if it's important for you or myself or someone else to not support white businesses, then you start to do that intentionally and individually, and then begin to influence other people. It's a trickle down effect. Like, these grand ideas sound good, but it doesn't mean anything if it's not executed, and it's not going to be executed in a large masses like that. It has to be an individual work. People have to be inspired individually to do that. So, like, that's really how I feel about it.
I feel you. Well, you give your stance, I'll give mine, and we have 10/10/2015 coming up. I'm not sure what's gonna happen. I think it's definitely gonna be a good thing. Period. I wasn't saying my opinion is like this, not to bash what's going on. You know what I mean, with Farrakhan coming up and what he's put together, because I respect him. You know what I mean? If I'm from Chicago, the South Side especially, right here, like you know that name and it holds major weight. But like always, like I helped my mom with her iPhone 5, her iPhone 6, because she don't really know how to work it like that. You know what I'm saying? Only because it's not because she's incompetent or anything like that. It's because she's getting older and the world's changing. And there's new things being introduced that are foreign to her. And I feel like the same way with the Honorable Minister. I feel like last time he did Million Man March, there was no type of other way to get to the people other than like that, really. But now with new technology, we can literally maximize that. And I feel like if we really want to do what we want to do as far as the resources, if we're really serious about that, man, that's just an option that we can look into. I might be wrong. Shit, I don't know. But hey, we are millennials, man. And we supposed to be a generation that changes a lot of things, that changes thoughts and changes the way things are happening. So hey, that's my 2 cents on it. But until next time, man, that's Under the Influence, Cocktails and Consciousness. This is your host, Caleb. And don't forget to check out, man, what we got going on, man. Let them know about the Defining Myself.
I have my shirt line that's building. We just debuted sweaters for the fall.
Fresh.
And as usual, we have our t-shirts. We have men and women shirts now, and it's growing, and it's a great movement. It's not just a t-shirt; it's a lifestyle, and it encourages everyday people to, think of how they see themselves outside of like social standards, and it encourages them to create life on their own terms. So t-shirts and sweaters now, but definitely will be more things coming to fruition in the future. So please support definingmyselftees.com. If you have any questions, you can always email me. And yeah, follow me on Facebook and Instagram.
Bet. And as always, man, don't forget to like this, comment, and also share it, man. Until next time, man, we signing off.
Bye.